When that thin, dust-covered horse limped into the wrong yard, everyone thought it was just another lost animal looking for food. But when the youngest girl saw him up close, she turned pale. She recognized the mark on his flank and dropped the bucket to the ground. And the moment she revealed who that horse had once belonged to, no one could say a single word. Subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and comment where in the world you're watching from, because now I'm going to tell you everything. "Mom! Dad! There's a horse in our yard!" Emma Johnson shouted from the kitchen window. Her voice broke the peaceful Sunday morning silence. Lisa Johnson looked up from the pancakes she was flipping. "What are you talking about, sweetie?" "Come look, it's eating grass by the old maple tree." David Johnson put down his coffee mug and joined his 10-year-old daughter at the window. His eyes widened. "That's not just any horse." Lisa abandoned the stove and rushed to see. Outside, a thin brown horse with a dirty coat stood in their front yard. Despite its poor condition, there was something familiar about it. "That's Lightning," David whispered, his voice cracking. "That's Jason's horse." The kitchen fell silent. No one moved. No one breathed. Lightning had disappeared with their 16-year-old son Jason 3 years ago during a hiking trip in the Rocky Mountains. The search parties had found nothing, no body, no backpack, no trace of boy or horse. Emma was the first to move, grabbing a bucket and filling it with water. "He looks thirsty." "Emma, wait," Lisa called, but her daughter was already rushing outside. David followed quickly, with Lisa close behind. They approached the horse cautiously. Lightning's brown coat was dull and matted. He had cuts on his legs and sides that had partially healed. His ribs showed through his skin, but his eyes were bright and alert. "Look," Emma pointed to the distinctive white star-shaped mark on his left hind leg. "It's definitely Lightning." The horse nickered softly when Emma offered the water. As he drank, the sound of tires on gravel made them turn toward the driveway. A green Forest Service truck pulled up, and a tall man in a ranger uniform stepped out. His name badge read, Ryan Cooper. "Good morning," he said, walking toward them. "I see Lightning made it here safely." Lisa's hand flew to her mouth. "You know this horse?" The ranger nodded. "I've been following him since yesterday. He showed up at my station in Eagle Valley." He looked at the family with gentle eyes. "When I checked his registration tag and saw he belonged to a missing person case, I thought I should follow him. Horses have incredible memories." David stepped forward, his voice shaking. "Did you find anything else? Any sign of our son?" Ryan smiled. "Actually, there's someone you need to see." He walked back to his truck and opened the passenger door. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a thin young man with long brown hair slowly stepped out. He stood uncertainly beside the truck, looking at the family with nervous green eyes. "Jason," Lisa whispered. The young man blinked, recognition flickering across his face. "Mom?" Emma bolted across the yard, throwing herself into her brother's arms. "Jason, you're alive!" Lisa and David ran to him, enveloping him in a family embrace. Tears flowed freely as they touched him, as if making sure he wasn't a dream that would vanish. "I can't believe it," David kept saying. 3 years. We thought you were..." He couldn't finish the sentence. Jason looked different. At 19, he was taller than David remembered. His once short hair now hung past his shoulders. He was thin, too thin, and his hands were rough with calluses. But his eyes were the same, even if they now held a wariness that hadn't been there before. "Let's get you inside," Lisa said, wiping tears from her cheeks. "You must be hungry." Inside the kitchen, Lisa piled pancakes onto a plate while Ryan explained what had happened. "I was doing my morning check yesterday when Lightning appeared at my station. He looked like he'd been traveling for days. Then this morning, I spotted someone hiking along the ridge about a mile away. It was Jason." "I didn't know who I was at first," Jason said quietly, his voice deeper than they remembered. "When Ryan asked my name, it felt familiar when he said Jason Johnson, but everything was foggy." "What happened to you?" David asked. "Where have you been for 3 years?" Jason stared at his plate. "There was an old man named Walter Miller. He found me after I fell down a ravine during that storm. I hit my head badly. He touched a scar above his right eyebrow. I couldn't remember anything who I was, where I came from. Walter took me to his cabin and nursed me back to health." "Why didn't he report finding you?" David asked, a hint of anger in his voice. Walter rarely went to town, Jason explained. He was kind of a hermit, lived way up in the mountains, almost 50 miles from here. He had no phone, no computer. He called me John since I couldn't tell him my real name. Emma hadn't let go of Jason's arm since they sat down. But why didn't you come home sooner? I didn't know I had a home to go to, Jason said simply. Walter and I just lived in his cabin. I helped him hunt and chop wood. He taught me how to survive in the wilderness. What changed? Lisa asked. How did you find your way back now? Jason's eyes grew sad. Walter died 2 weeks ago. He was old and his heart gave out. I buried him behind the cabin, then packed what I could carry and started hiking toward where he said the nearest town would be. He glanced out the window at Lightning. That's when Lightning found me. He just appeared on the trail and kept following me, pushing me with his nose. When I touched him, I started getting flashes of memories. The memories are coming back? Lisa asked hopefully. Some, Jason admitted. Not everything, but enough to know I should follow Lightning. He seemed to know where to go. Ryan stood up. I should report this officially. The sheriff will want to know Jason's been found. Of course, David said, shaking the ranger's hand. Thank you for bringing our son home. After Ryan left, Lisa made Jason take a hot shower while she found some of David's clothes that might fit him. Emma sat outside the bathroom door the entire time, afraid her brother might disappear again. By evening, news of Jason's return had spread throughout Pinewood Springs. Neighbors brought food and left it on the porch, respecting the family's need for privacy. Sheriff Bill Anderson came by briefly, explaining he'd need to take a formal statement tomorrow. Just protocol, he assured them, but we need to document everything for the official record. When the sheriff left, Jason seemed relieved. Throughout the day, his family had noticed little things about him that were different. He checked the locks on the doors repeatedly. He flinched at loud noises. He kept his back to walls and his eyes on windows and doorways. You should get some rest, Lisa told him that night, showing him to his bedroom, which remained exactly as he had left it 3 years ago. Jason looked around the room with a strange expression, as if he were seeing it for the first time. Thank you for not giving up on me, he said softly. We would never give up on you, Lisa assured him, hugging him tight. That night, Lisa couldn't sleep. She checked on Jason every hour, needing to confirm he was really there. Around 2 in the morning, she found his bed empty. Panic seized her until she spotted movement through the kitchen window. Outside, in the moonlight, Jason was walking slowly across the backyard toward the mountains. His movements were stiff, mechanical, like a sleepwalker's. Lisa rushed outside. Jason? She called softly, not wanting to startle him. He didn't respond, continuing to walk forward with unseeing eyes. Jason! She touched his arm. He jerked awake, looking around in confusion. Mom, what's happening? You were sleepwalking, she explained, guiding him back toward the house, heading toward the mountains. I was? Jason rubbed his eyes. I don't remember. What were you dreaming about? Lisa asked as they entered the house. Jason hesitated. I don't know. Something about watchers in the mountains. Watchers? Lisa asked. What does that mean? I don't know, Jason said, but his eyes darted away from hers. Can we go back to sleep? I'm really tired. Lisa nodded, but as she watched him climb the stairs, worry gnawed at her. Jason was home, but something wasn't right. What had happened to her son during those 3 years? What weren't he telling them? And who or what were the watchers he'd mentioned? In the barn, Lightning stood alert in his stall. His ears pointed toward the mountains as if listening for something only he could hear. The next morning, Emma was the first one awake, tiptoeing to Jason's room to make sure he was still there. She found him sitting by the window, watching the sunrise. You're really here, she whispered, coming to sit beside him. Jason smiled tiredly. I couldn't sleep much. Everything feels strange. Mom said you were sleepwalking last night. Jason nodded. I don't remember that. Just bits and pieces of dreams. Emma's bright eyes studied him. Do you remember me? From before, I mean. Some things, Jason said, reaching out to tug one of her curls gently. I remember you used to keep candy under your pillow. Emma's face lit up. You do remember. I still do that, but now I have more hiding spots. Downstairs, Lisa was already making breakfast when they came down. Dark circles under her eyes showed she hadn't slept much either. I called Dr. Sarah Mitchell at the medical center, she told them, setting plates of scrambled eggs on the table. She can see you today. She might help with your memory. David came in from outside. Lightning seems better this morning. I gave him extra feed and brushed him down. Thank you, Jason said. Walter taught me how to take care of him, but I wasn't always sure if I was doing it right. After breakfast, Lisa drove Jason to Pinewood Medical Center, a small brick building at the edge of town. People stared as they walked through the lobby, whispering behind their hands. The miracle return of Jason Johnson was big news in their small town. Dr. Mitchell was a kind woman with silver-streaked black hair. She examined Jason thoroughly, asking him questions about what he could and couldn't remember. The human brain is complicated, she explained afterward. Amnesia from head trauma can be unpredictable. Some memories might come back quickly, others slowly, and some might never return. Never? Lisa asked, her voice breaking. It's possible, Dr. Mitchell said gently. But Jason has already started recovering memories, which is a good sign. Familiar places, photos, and activities might trigger more. In the car ride home, Lisa wiped away tears. We'll help you remember, Jason, whatever it takes. Jason looked out the window at the familiar yet strange town. What if there are things I don't want to remember? Lisa glanced at him sharply. What do you mean? I don't know, he admitted. Just a feeling. Back home, Emma had set up what she called Operation Memory in the living room. Photo albums were spread across the coffee table, along with Jason's old toys and school projects. I'm going to help you remember everything, Emma announced proudly. For the next few hours, they looked through photos, birthday parties with chocolate-smeared faces, Christmas mornings with wrapping paper everywhere, camping trips in the mountains. Jason recognized some moments, but others felt like looking at someone else's life. This was your 10th birthday, Emma said, pointing to a photo of Jason blowing out candles on a cake shaped like a horse. Mom made that cake herself, and it took her 2 whole days. Jason touched the photo. I remember the taste, chocolate with mint frosting. Lisa gasped. That's right. Small victories like this continued throughout the day. Jason remembered his favorite blue sweater, the treehouse David had built in the backyard, and how Emma had once put bubble bath in the kitchen sink and flooded the floor. The next day, Emma convinced everyone they needed to visit special places around town to help Jason's memory. Clearwater Lake first, she insisted. You loved fishing there with Dad. Clearwater Lake was a 20-minute drive from their house. The water was calm, reflecting the pine trees surrounding it. David brought fishing poles, and they walked along the shore to Jason's old favorite spot. As they set up their chairs, Jason stood very still, staring into the forest on the far side of the lake. Jason, David asked, you okay? I remember something, Jason said slowly. The day I went missing, I wasn't just hiking. The family fell silent, waiting. I saw lights in the forest, Jason continued, his voice distant. Strange blue lights moving between the trees. I went to check, thinking maybe someone needed help. He pressed his hand to his forehead. There were people in suits, like hazmat suits, all white. I hid and watched them. They were carrying equipment into the mountain. Did you tell anyone about this? David asked. Jason shook his head. I don't think so. I followed them, trying to see what they were doing. That's the last thing I remember before waking up at Walter's cabin. The fishing trip was cut short. No one felt much like fishing after Jason's revelation. The next day, they drove past Jason's old high school, Pinewood High. A boy with dark hair spotted them from the parking lot and jogged over. Jason, is it really you? The boy asked, his eyes wide. Tyler? Jason said, the name coming to him suddenly. Tyler Martinez? Yeah, man. Everyone's talking about you being back. It's crazy. Tyler's smile seemed forced, his eyes darting nervously to the street. Tyler was your best friend, Lisa explained. Jason studied Tyler's face. We used to bike to the old quarry. You remember, Tyler said, but he kept glancing over his shoulder at the school. Look, I gotta get to class, but we should hang out, catch up. As Tyler hurried away, Jason frowned. He seemed scared. He's probably just shocked to see you, David suggested. But as they drove away, Jason noticed a black car with government plates in the school parking lot. That's Mr. Martinez's car. He works for the government? County administration, I think, Lisa said. I'm not sure exactly what he does. That evening, Jason sat on his bed, going through his backpack from Walter's cabin. At the bottom, he found 3 notebooks he hadn't shown his family yet. Opening them, he stared at pages filled with strange drawings, detailed maps of what looked like underground tunnels, weird symbols in the margins, and notes about the Watchers. One page had a list titled People Who Watch, with several names. Mayor Richard Cooper was at the top, circled multiple times. Jason didn't remember writing these notes, but they were definitely in his handwriting. A knock at the door made him quickly hide the notebooks under his pillow. Emma peeked in. "Mom wants to know if you're hungry," she said, then spotted the corner of a notebook. "What's that?" "Nothing," Jason said too quickly. Emma gave him a look. "I'm 10, not stupid. I won't tell Mom if you don't want me to." After a moment, Jason pulled out the notebooks. "I found these in my backpack. I think I wrote them while living with Walter, but I don't remember doing it." Emma flipped through the pages with wide eyes. "These look like secret tunnels. And who are the Watchers?" "I don't know," Jason admitted. "But in these notes I wrote that they're hidden in the mountains, watching the town." Emma sat next to him. "Something weird happened yesterday. Mayor Cooper came to the house while you were talking with Dr. Mitchell. Lightning went crazy in the barn, kicking his stall, making terrible noises. He only calmed down after the mayor left." Jason's face paled. "Lightning did the same thing near Walter's cabin sometimes. Certain people would hike past and he would get really upset. Walter said lightning could sense things about people that we couldn't." "Like what?" "I don't know. Walter never explained. But he always paid attention when lightning acted that way. We would stay inside until those people were gone." That night, Lisa checked on Jason several times. During her 2 o'clock check, she found him asleep but talking. At first, she thought he was speaking gibberish, but as she listened, she realized it was some kind of language, not English, not Spanish, nothing she recognized. "Jason," she whispered, touching his shoulder. He continued speaking the strange language, his eyes still closed. Lisa recorded a short video on her phone, planning to show David in the morning. When she finally went back to bed, Lisa couldn't sleep. She pulled out her old journal where she documented every day of the search for Jason 3 years ago. Something about Jason's story of falling during a storm didn't match the weather records from that day. According to her notes, the storm hadn't hit until 2 days after Jason disappeared. So what had really happened to her son? And what was he hiding from them now? In the barn, Lightning stood alert again, facing the mountains. Outside, a black SUV with tinted windows drove slowly past the Johnson house, then continued down the road without stopping. The black SUV drove by again the next morning. Jason watched it from his bedroom window, a chill running down his spine. When it passed a 3rd time that afternoon, David called Sheriff Anderson, who promised to check it out but didn't seem concerned. "Probably just curious folks," the sheriff said. "Everyone's talking about your return, Jason." That night, Jason couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, memories flooded back, not of his life in Pinewood Springs, but of his time with Walter Miller. The images were so vivid they felt more like living the experiences again than remembering them. Rain pounded against his window, reminding him of that first night. Thunder crashed overhead as Walter Miller hiked through the forest. The old man pulled his raincoat tighter, squinting through the downpour. He wasn't supposed to be out in this weather, but Lightning had been acting strangely all day, tugging at his rope and looking toward the eastern ridge. Walter trusted the horse's instincts. They had saved his life before. The rain turned the dirt path into mud that sucked at his boots. Lightning followed behind, unusually calm now that they were heading in the direction he'd been indicating. "What is it, boy?" Walter asked. "What did you sense?" They reached a steep ravine just as another lightning bolt split the sky. In the brief flash, Walter saw something at the bottom, a shape that didn't belong among the rocks and trees. He carefully made his way down the slippery slope, using tree roots as handholds. At the bottom lay a teenage boy, unconscious, blood mixing with rainwater on his forehead. Nearby was a backpack, its contents scattered. Walter checked for a pulse. The boy was alive but cold. Quickly, he gathered the backpack and its spilled contents. One item caught his eye, a student ID card from Pinewood High School. The name read Jason Johnson. Walter's hands trembled as he stared at the card. Then he pocketed it, wrapped the boy in his emergency blanket, and somehow managed to lift him across Lightning's back. "Careful now," he told the horse. "Slow and steady." Jason woke up with sunlight warming his face. His bedroom in Pinewood Springs came into focus, but the memory of Walter's cabin stayed clear in his mind. He remembered now the small wooden structure hidden among tall pines, so well camouflaged that you could walk within 20 feet and not see it. At breakfast, he was quiet while Emma chattered about school. "You okay?" Lisa asked, touching his arm. "I remembered more about Walter in the cabin," Jason said. "It was like I was there again." "Tell us," David encouraged. Jason described waking up on a narrow bed, confused and afraid. Walter had been sitting nearby, his weathered face concerned but kind. "You took a bad fall," Walter had told him. "Hit your head. Can you tell me your name?" Jason remembered the panic of not knowing the answer. I don't know," Walter had nodded, unsurprised. "That's okay. You're safe here. I'll call you John for now." The first days were a blur of headaches and confusion. Walter gave him medicine that tasted bitter but helped with the pain. As Jason, or John as Walter called him, recovered, the old man began teaching him how to survive in the wilderness. He showed me how to fish, how to identify edible plants, how to move through the forest without making noise, Jason explained to his family. He was patient but very serious about it all. "Did he ever try to help you remember who you were?" David asked. Jason shook his head. "Not really. When I asked about finding my family, he would say it wasn't safe yet. I didn't understand what he meant." After breakfast, Ryan Cooper arrived to check on Jason. The ranger seemed genuinely concerned. "How are the memories coming along?" Ryan asked. "Better," Jason said cautiously. "I remembered more about Walter's cabin." Ryan's eyes lit up. "That's great. I've been wondering if we could locate it. It might help us understand what happened to you." "I could try," Jason offered, though something inside him hesitated. They agreed to make an expedition the following day. Ryan would bring maps of the area, and Jason would try to identify where the cabin might be. That night, more memories came in his dreams. Months had passed at the cabin. Jason's hair grew long, and his hands developed calluses from chopping wood and carrying water. Walter taught him to hunt with both rifle and bow, to preserve meat for winter, and to predict weather changes. One day, Jason discovered something strange. While Walter was checking his traps, Jason accidentally knocked over a heavy trunk in the main room. The floor beneath it sounded hollow. Curious, he moved the trunk further and found a trap door built into the wooden floor. When he opened it, he discovered a hidden room underneath the cabin. Unlike the rustic living space above, this room contained modern equipment, computers, radio gear, maps covering the walls, and filing cabinets. Jason was examining a detailed map of Pinewood Springs when Walter returned. "You weren't supposed to find this," the old man said from the doorway, his voice tired rather than angry. "What is all this?" Jason asked. "Who are you really?" Walter sighed deeply. "Sit down, son. It's time you knew some truths." Walter explained he wasn't just a hermit. He had been a scientist once, working for a government research program in the mountains. When he discovered they were conducting dangerous experiments without proper safety or ethics, he left, taking evidence with him. "They've been looking for me for years," Walter said. "That's why we can't go into town often, and why I wear disguises when we do." Jason learned that Walter only traveled to the nearest town twice a year for supplies, wearing different hats, fake beards, and glasses each time. He paid in cash and never visited the same store twice in a row. "But what does this have to do with me?" Jason had asked. Walter had looked away. "Nothing, I hope. But you were found near their facility, and I couldn't risk taking you to a hospital. They monitor all medical reports in this region." The next morning, Ryan arrived with detailed maps of the area. The family gathered around the kitchen table as Jason tried to identify landmarks he remembered. "There was a creek with a bent pine tree," Jason said, tracing his finger over the map, "and 3 large boulders that looked like they were stacked on purpose." Ryan made notes. "This is helpful. I think we can narrow it down to this general area." He circled a section of the map about 40 miles northeast of Pinewood Springs. "That's deep wilderness," David observed. "No wonder no one found you." They set out after lunch, Jason, Ryan, and David, in Ryan's Forest Service truck. The dirt roads eventually became impassable, forcing them to continue on foot. Jason felt increasingly certain they were heading in the right direction. Small details jogged his memory: a distinctive rock formation, the way the land sloped, a clearing where Walter had taught him to identify edible mushrooms. "It should be just over this ridge," Jason said finally, a strange mix of excitement and dread filling him. They crested the hill and Jason stopped short. Below, where the cabin should have been, was a blackened clearing. All that remained were the stone chimney and the charred remnants of foundation logs. "No," Jason whispered, running down the slope. The cabin had been completely destroyed by fire. Nothing remained of the furniture, the equipment, or any of Walter's research. Jason frantically searched for the trapdoor that led to the underground room, but even that was gone, filled in with dirt and debris. "What happened?" David asked, looking around at the destruction. Ryan knelt, examining the ashes. "This wasn't recent. Based on the regrowth, I'd say this fire happened at least a month ago, maybe more." "Right after Walter died," Jason said quietly. He walked around the perimeter, memories flooding back. There, beneath that fallen tree, was where Walter had taught him to clean fish. By those rocks was where they'd set up targets for shooting practice. And there was the clearing where Walter had trained Lightning. "He spent hours working with the horse," Jason told them, the memory suddenly clear, teaching him to find specific places, to return on command, to respond to special whistles. "Why would he do that?" David asked. "I don't know," Jason admitted. "He just said Lightning might need to help me someday." As they continued searching the area, Jason remembered another important detail. One evening, he had found Walter on the small rise behind the cabin, looking through powerful binoculars at a distant mountain where nothing seemed to be. "They think they're invisible," Walter had said, "but I've been watching them watch us for years." Jason hadn't understood then. Now he scanned the distant mountains, wondering what Walter had seen. "There's nothing here," Ryan finally said. "Whatever Walter had is gone now." As they prepared to leave, Jason paused by a large pine tree. Something caught his eye: a small carving in the bark, nearly invisible unless you knew to look for it. It was a symbol matching one in Jason's notebook, a circle with a line through it. He touched it gently, and another memory surfaced. Walter, growing weaker in his final days, making Jason memorize something important. "If anything happens to me," Walter had said, "take my research to Margaret Collins at the Denver Daily News. She's been investigating them for years. Lightning knows the way home first. After that, trust no one until you find Margaret." Jason hadn't understood the instructions then. With his memory gone, he'd forgotten them completely when Walter died, until Lightning found him and led him home. "Jason," David called, "we should head back before dark." Jason touched the carved symbol one last time. "Coming." On the drive home, Ryan asked many questions about the cabin and Walter's behavior. Some made Jason uncomfortable, though he couldn't explain why. "Did Walter ever mention what kind of research he did?" Ryan asked. "Or who he worked for?" "No," Jason lied, remembering Walter's warnings. He never talked about his past. Back at the Johnson house, Emma was waiting eagerly for news. Her face fell when they told her about the burned cabin. "That's not a coincidence," she said firmly. "Someone didn't want you to find Walter's things." That night, as the family slept, Jason slipped out to the barn. Lightning nickered softly as Jason approached. "You knew, didn't you?" Jason whispered, stroking the horse's neck. "You knew who I was all along." Lightning pushed his nose against Jason's chest, as if in agreement. "Walter taught you to find the way home," Jason continued. "But why? What was he afraid of?" As if in answer, Lightning's ears pricked forward, his body tensing. Jason turned to see what had alerted the horse. Through the barn doors, he could see a flashlight beam moving across their front yard, heading toward the house. Jason froze, watching the beam of light move closer to the house. Quickly, he backed deeper into the barn shadows. The figure carrying the flashlight was tall and moved carefully, stopping to examine something on the ground near their front porch. After a minute, the person turned and walked away, disappearing into the darkness. Jason waited until he was sure they were gone before rushing back to the house. He checked all the doors and windows. Everything was locked. Nothing seemed disturbed. Still, he barely slept that night, his mind filled with questions about the mysterious visitor. At breakfast the next morning, he mentioned what he'd seen. I'll call Sheriff Anderson again, David said, frowning. First the black SUV, now this. Maybe it was just a neighbor, Lisa suggested, but she didn't sound convinced. Emma had been unusually quiet. I'm going to the library after school today, she announced suddenly, for a project. What kind of project? Lisa asked. Just stuff, Emma said vaguely. School stuff. After everyone left for the day, David to work, Lisa to grocery shop, Jason to meet with Dr. Mitchell for another checkup, Emma headed not to school but to the Pinewood Springs Public Library. She had been thinking about Jason's notebooks and the strange drawings inside them. The library was quiet, with only Mrs. Winters, the elderly librarian, arranging books at the front desk. Good morning, Emma, Mrs. Winters said. Shouldn't you be in school? Teacher workday, Emma lied smoothly. I need to research something important. She headed straight for the newspaper archives, a row of computers with access to digitized copies of the Pinewood Gazette going back 50 years. Emma was good with computers, much better than her parents realized. She started searching for anything about research facilities in the mountains. After 20 minutes, she found something. A headline from 20 years ago read, Mountain View Research Center closes amid controversy. Emma clicked on the article, her eyes widening as she read. The Mountain View Research Center will officially close next month following protests from environmental groups. The government-funded research facility, located 17 miles northeast of Pinewood Springs, has faced accusations of polluting local water sources and causing unusual behavior in wildlife. Officials deny these claims, stating the facility is closing due to budget cuts. Local environmental activist Diane Porter claims animals near the facility exhibited strange behaviors. We've documented deer walking in perfect circles, birds flying into trees repeatedly, and fish swimming upside down in Clearwater Lake, Porter said. Something in that facility is affecting their brains. Government spokesman Thomas Reed called these claims unsubstantiated, but acknowledged the facility would conduct a thorough environmental cleanup before vacating the site. Emma printed the article, then continued searching. She found 3 more stories about the facility's closure, including photos of the main building, a plain concrete structure partially built into the mountainside. The location described matched perfectly with the area marked in Jason's drawings. She dug deeper, accessing scientific journals using her school library password. There, buried in an academic publication from 22 years ago, she found a paper titled Neural Pathway Reconstruction and Memory Alteration by Dr. Walter Miller and Dr. Richard Cooper. Richard Cooper, Emma whispered. The mayor? The paper was difficult to understand, full of scientific terms, but she printed it anyway. Then she searched specifically for Walter Miller. There were several articles about his work in neuroscience describing him as a leading researcher in memory studies. Then 18 years ago, nothing. As if Walter Miller had simply disappeared from the scientific community. Emma gathered all her printouts and carefully placed them in her backpack. As she left the library, she checked the time, 11:30. She should head to school for the second half of the day before anyone realized she was missing. At school, Emma went straight to lunch, sliding into her usual seat beside her friend Zoe. Where were you? Zoe asked. Mr. Peterson was asking about you. I had a doctor's appointment, Emma lied again. Did I miss anything important? Just a boring science video, Zoe said. Mr. Peterson seemed weird today though, really jumpy. After lunch, Emma headed to Mr. Peterson's 5th grade classroom. He was at his desk, talking quietly on his phone. Emma paused outside the door, listening. Yes, I understand the concern, Mr. Peterson was saying. The Johnson boy being back complicates things. No, I haven't heard about any memory recovery beyond the basics. Yes, I'll continue monitoring the situation. The sister too, of course. I understand containment protocols. Emma's heart pounded. She ducked away from the door as Mr. Peterson ended his call. Why was her teacher talking about Jason? What were containment protocols? When school ended at 3 o'clock, Emma didn't take the bus home. Instead, she hid behind the big oak tree at the edge of the school parking lot, watching Mr. Peterson. He got into his blue sedan and drove away. Emma jumped on her bike and followed at a distance. Mr. Peterson didn't drive home. Instead, he headed to the old gas station on Route 12, which had been closed for years. The place was empty except for a black car parked behind the building. a car Emma recognized as Mayor Cooper's. Emma hid her bike in the bushes and crept closer, staying low. She could see Mr. Peterson and Mayor Cooper standing beside the black car, talking seriously. The mayor handed Mr. Peterson what looked like a metal case. Emma pulled out her phone and took several photos. She was backing away when she stepped on a twig. The sharp crack seemed impossibly loud. Both men turned toward the sound. "Is someone there?" Mayor Cooper called out. Emma ran, grabbing her bike and pedaling as fast as she could. She didn't look back until she was several blocks away. No one seemed to be following her. When she reached home, she was out of breath and sweaty. Jason was sitting on the front porch looking troubled. "Where have you been?" he asked. "Mom's been calling you." "I need to show you something," Emma said urgently, pulling the printed articles from her backpack. "I know what Mountain View Research Center is." Jason's face went pale. "Where did you get these?" "The library." "Look," she pointed to the facility location described in the article. "It matches your drawings exactly, and Walter Miller was a scientist who worked there, along with Mayor Cooper." Jason flipped through the papers, his hands shaking. "This explains some things Walter told me. He said he used to work on important research until he discovered they were doing dangerous things." "There's more," Emma said, lowering her voice. "I heard Mr. Peterson talking about you on the phone today. He mentioned containment protocols. Then he met with Mayor Cooper at the abandoned gas station. They exchanged some kind of metal case. Did they see you?" "I don't think so. I took pictures." She showed him the photos on her phone. Jason looked worried. "Emma, this could be dangerous. We need to tell Mom and Dad." "Not yet," Emma pleaded. "They'll just call Sheriff Anderson, and what if he's involved too? We need more evidence first." Their conversation was interrupted by a black van pulling into their driveway. The side read, "Pinewood Springs Health Department." Two men in dark suits stepped out, carrying clipboards. "Go inside," Jason said quickly. "Don't mention anything we just talked about." Lisa answered the door while Jason slipped into the basement, out of sight. "Good afternoon, ma'am," the taller man said. "I'm John Blake with the Health Department. We're conducting tests in the area due to concerns about water contamination." "We haven't noticed any problems with our water," Lisa replied. "It's likely nothing," the second man said, "but we're checking all homes in this area. May we come in to ask a few questions?" Lisa hesitated, then allowed them inside. Emma watched from the staircase as the man asked strange questions that seemed to have nothing to do with water. Had anyone in the family experienced memory issues, unusual dreams, sleepwalking, any new or unusual skills? One man wandered around the living room, looking at photos while the other kept Lisa busy with questions. When they asked specifically about Jason, Lisa's answers became cautious. "My son is recovering well," she said firmly. "His doctor says his memory is improving every day." "That's good to hear," the first man said, writing something on his clipboard. "We'll need water samples from your kitchen and bathrooms before we go." While Lisa led them to the kitchen, Emma slipped upstairs to her bedroom. She hid the printed articles under her mattress, then placed her phone inside her stuffed elephant's secret pocket. The men left 30 minutes later. As soon as their van pulled away, the house lights flickered, then went out completely. "Mom?" Emma called out. "It's okay, honey," Lisa replied. "Probably just a power surge. The lights should come back on soon." Jason emerged from the basement looking worried. "That was not the health department," he whispered. "Walter warned me about people like that asking questions." For exactly 10 minutes, the house remained dark. When the power returned, everything seemed normal, until Emma went back to her room and noticed something wrong. Her bedroom had been searched. It wasn't obvious, but she could tell. Her books were aligned slightly differently. Her backpack was in the wrong spot, and her desk drawer wasn't closed completely. She checked under her mattress. The printed articles were still there. Her phone was safe inside her stuffed elephant. But when she looked in her closet for her special research folder, the one where she'd been collecting evidence since Jason disappeared, it was gone. "Jason!" she called out, panic in her voice. "Someone took my folder!" Jason rushed to her room. "What folder?" "My evidence folder. I've been collecting weird stuff for 3 years. Newspaper clippings, strange rocks from the mountains, a business card I found from some government agency." Her voice trembled. "It had a map where I marked all the places search parties looked for you." Jason's face hardened. Those men weren't here about water. They came for information about me. But how did they get into my room during the power outage? The house was dark and Mom was with us the whole time. Jason walked to her bedroom window and examined it carefully. Someone unlocked this from outside. He pointed to scratches on the frame. They used the power outage as cover. Emma's eyes filled with tears. I'm scared, Jason. Jason hugged her tightly. It's going to be okay. But from now on, we need to be extremely careful. Don't trust anyone at school, especially Mr. Peterson. What about Mom and Dad? We have to tell them. Jason looked out the window at the setting sun. We will, tonight. But first, I need to check something. He hurried to his own room and pulled out his notebooks. Flipping through the pages, he stopped at a detailed map of underground tunnels. In the margin was a note he'd written, MV Mountain View. Walter says the facility never really closed and it moved underground. Jason showed the notebooks to Emma. This is what Walter told me before he died. The Mountain View Research Center never closed. It just went underground. We have to tell Mom and Dad now, Emma insisted. That evening, when David returned from work, the family gathered in the living room. Jason and Emma explained everything they had discovered. The articles about Mountain View Research Center, Walter's scientific background, Mr. Peterson's strange phone call, the fake health department officials, and the stolen folder. David looked increasingly troubled. This is serious. I'm calling Sheriff Anderson. No, Jason and Emma shouted together. We don't know who we can trust, Jason explained. Walter was very clear about that. Lisa rubbed her temples. This sounds like conspiracy theories, Jason. Then why did someone search Emma's room? Jason asked. Why is my teacher talking about containment protocols? Why did lightning disappear with me 3 years ago and suddenly find me now? David paced the room. One thing doesn't make sense. Ranger Cooper helped bring you home. If there's some government conspiracy, why would he do that? Jason frowned. I don't know. He's been helpful, but he asks a lot of questions, Emma finished. And his brother is the mayor, who worked with Walter Miller at the research center. Ranger Cooper is coming by tomorrow, David said. He wants to take you to meet with some memory specialist in Boulder. Jason and Emma exchanged alarmed looks. I'm not going, Jason said firmly. Look, David said. I don't know what to believe, but something strange is happening. Let me talk to Ryan tomorrow. Feel him out. The next morning, Ryan arrived in his Forest Service truck. Jason stayed inside while David met him on the porch. Morning, David, Ryan said cheerfully. Is Jason ready? The specialist is expecting us at 11. Actually, he's not feeling well today, David lied. Maybe we can reschedule. Ryan's smile faltered slightly. That's too bad. This doctor is very good with memory recovery. Hard to get appointments with him. I appreciate your help, David said carefully. But I'm curious. Why are you so invested in Jason's case? Ryan shifted his weight. Just doing my job. Finding a missing person is significant. Even though it's not Forest Service business anymore, David pressed. Ryan checked his watch. I need to make a call about rescheduling. Mind if I use the bathroom first? David led him inside, watching closely. Ryan spent several minutes in the bathroom, then made a brief call outside before leaving. I'll be in touch about rescheduling, Ryan said as he drove away. As soon as he was gone, David turned to Jason. I don't trust him. He was too interested in getting you to Boulder today. What should we do? Lisa asked. I'm going to follow him, David decided. Something's off, and I want to know what. Despite Lisa's objections, David took his truck and followed Ryan's vehicle at a distance. Instead of heading back to the ranger station, Ryan drove deep into the national forest, turning onto unmarked dirt roads. Eventually, he parked at a small clearing and continued on foot. David waited a few minutes, then followed. He moved quietly through the trees until he spotted Ryan standing in a small clearing. The ranger was speaking into what looked like a satellite radio, not a regular cell phone. Subject refused appointment today, Ryan was saying. Suspect they may be getting suspicious. Yes, I understand the timeline is critical. Memory recovery is proceeding faster than anticipated. No, I haven't located the notebooks yet. Parents are becoming protective. We'll need to move to alternate plans soon. David accidentally stepped on a branch, creating a loud snap. Ryan immediately stopped talking and drew a gun from beneath his jacket. Who's there? He called out. Knowing he was caught, David stepped into view, hands raised. It's just me. Ryan lowered the gun but didn't holster it. "Why are you following me, David?" "I think I should be asking the questions," David replied. "Who were you reporting to? What's this about a timeline? And why are you carrying a gun?" Ryan sighed deeply, then gestured to a fallen log. "Sit down. I guess it's time for truth." "I'm listening," David said, remaining standing. "I don't work for the Forest Service," Ryan admitted. "Not primarily anyway. It's my cover. I work for a government program called Project Recall based at the Mountain View facility." David tensed. "The facility that supposedly closed 20 years ago?" Ryan nodded. "It never closed. We just moved operations underground, literally. I've been assigned to monitor Walter Miller for the past 7 years." "You knew Walter had Jason all this time?" David's voice rose angrily. "No, not at first," Ryan said quickly. "Walter was good at staying hidden. I knew approximately where his cabin was but couldn't approach directly without alerting him. When Jason disappeared 3 years ago, we had no idea Walter had found him." "Then how did you know to follow Lightning?" Ryan looked uncomfortable. 6 months ago, I spotted Jason for the first time, collecting firewood near the cabin. By then it was clear Walter had taken him in. I should have reported it immediately, but what? "I started having doubts about our program," Ryan said quietly. Project Recall began as legitimate research into memory enhancement for Alzheimer's patients. Walter Miller was our lead scientist, but when certain military applications became apparent, the focus shifted. They wanted to develop technology to selectively erase and implant memories. "That sounds impossible," David said. "It's not," Ryan assured him. "The technology works. Walter left when they started human testing without proper consent. He took evidence of the program with him, and they've been hunting him ever since." "What does this have to do with my son?" "Jason was in the wrong place at the wrong time," Ryan explained. 3 years ago, he was hiking near one of our testing sites when he was accidentally exposed to an experimental compound. It caused his memory loss. When he went missing, the project leaders decided it was better to let him stay missing. David's hands clenched into fists. "You people made us think our son was dead for 3 years?" "I'm not proud of it," Ryan said. "When Walter died, I made the decision to help Jason find his way home. That's why I followed Lightning. I knew Walter had trained the horse to help Jason if anything happened." "Why help now after all this time?" David demanded. Ryan stared at the ground. "Because I've seen what this project has become. They're not just experimenting on volunteers anymore. They've been testing their technology on people in Pinewood Springs without their knowledge. Small tests, making people forget seeing certain vehicles or implanting false memories about town meetings that never happened." "That's criminal," David said. "Yes," Ryan agreed. "But they believe the end justifies the means. Memory technology has enormous military and intelligence value." "What do they want with Jason now?" "They need to know how much he remembers and what Walter told him. Walter had evidence that could shut down the entire project and send people to prison." Ryan looked directly at David. "They're coming for Jason, David. Soon. Once they realize he's recovering his memories and knows about Walter's evidence, they'll take him back to the facility." "I won't let that happen," David said fiercely. "You may not have a choice," Ryan said, "but I want to help you." "Why should I trust you?" David asked. "You shouldn't," Ryan answered honestly. "But right now, I'm the only inside connection you have." David studied Ryan's face. "What's your real connection to Mayor Cooper?" "The articles Emma found say he worked with Walter at the facility." "Richard Cooper is the project director," Ryan confirmed. "He's also my half-brother. Same father, different mothers. That's how I got recruited, family connections." David took a step closer to Ryan. "If you're really on our side, prove it." Ryan reached into his pocket and pulled out a small black phone. "This has one number programmed in it. It's a secure line directly to me. If you need immediate help, call it. But only in a true emergency. If they catch me helping you, we're both finished." David took the phone cautiously. "What should we do now?" "Pack essential items. Clothes, medications, some food. Keep them ready to grab quickly. I'll try to warn you before they move, but it might happen fast." As they walked back toward their vehicles, Ryan added, "Don't trust anyone in town, David. Not the sheriff, not doctors, not teachers. The project has people everywhere." That evening, David returned home and explained everything to Lisa, Jason, and Emma. They worked together to pack emergency bags and hide them in the closet by the back door. As darkness fell, Jason stood by his bedroom window, looking out at the road. A black SUV parked about 100 yards from their driveway, its headlights off. "Dad," Jason called softly. "They're watching the house." The family gathered at the window. Through David's binoculars, Jason studied the men sitting in the SUV. "I recognize the driver," he whispered. "He used to watch Walter's cabin. I saw him through Walter's binoculars many times." Lisa's hands trembled. "What do we do now?" "We stay calm," David said. "Ryan said he'd warn us if they planned to move on us." "Can we trust him?" Lisa asked. Jason thought about everything he'd learned. "I don't know, but Walter always said, when you don't know who to trust, trust the horse." And Lightning seemed comfortable around Ryan. "That's our plan?" Lisa asked incredulously. "Trust a horse's judgment." "Walter trained Lightning to detect people who had been near the facility," Jason explained. "The horse can somehow sense when someone has been exposed to their technology. He gets nervous around those people." Outside, Lightning suddenly whinnied loudly from the barn, an alarmed sound they'd never heard before. "That's not good," Jason said, moving away from the window. "Someone else is here." David grabbed the phone Ryan had given him. "Should I call?" Before anyone could answer, all the lights in the house went out, plunging them into complete darkness. "Everyone stay calm," David said in the darkness. "The flashlights are in the kitchen drawer." "Don't move," Jason whispered. "Someone cut the power on purpose." They stood frozen in the dark living room. Outside, Lightning continued to whinny loudly from the barn. "I need to check on him," Jason said. "It's not safe." Lisa grabbed his arm. A beam of light swept across their front yard, then another. Multiple flashlights moved toward the house. "Back door," David whispered urgently. "Now." The family crept through the dark house toward the kitchen. David grabbed their emergency bags from the closet. Just as they reached the back door, headlights illuminated the yard as a vehicle pulled up behind their house. "They're surrounding us," Emma said, her voice trembling. The sound of knocking came from the front door. "Mr. and Mrs. Johnson?" a familiar voice called. "It's Sheriff Anderson. We've had reports of a power outage in this area. Just checking if everything's okay." David hesitated, then whispered to the others, "I'll talk to him. The rest of you hide in the basement." "No," Jason said firmly. "I need to get to Lightning." "Jason," Lisa began. "Trust me," Jason insisted. "Lightning is part of this. Walter trained him for a reason." More knocking, louder this time. "Mr. Johnson, are you folks okay in there?" David made a quick decision. "Lisa, take Emma to the basement. Jason and I will answer the door, then try to get to the barn." Lisa and Emma disappeared into the basement while David approached the front door with Jason slightly behind him. David took a deep breath and opened the door. Sheriff Anderson stood on their porch, flashlight in hand. Behind him was Mayor Cooper. "Evening, David," the sheriff said pleasantly. "Power's out all over this section. Just checking on everyone." "We're fine," David said stiffly. "Just about to check on our horse. He seems upset." Mayor Cooper stepped forward. "That's actually part of why we're here, David. Animal Control has received reports of horses acting strangely in this area. Possibly something in the water affecting them. Mind if we take a look at Lightning?" Jason tensed behind his father. The mayor's interest in Lightning couldn't be coincidental. "It's rather late for a social call, Richard," David said to the mayor. "Maybe tomorrow would be better." "It won't take long," Sheriff Anderson insisted. "Just a quick check on the animal's condition." David glanced back at Jason, who gave a slight nod. They needed to get to Lightning anyway. "All right," David agreed. "We'll all go together." The four of them walked across the dark yard toward the barn. Lightning's agitated whinnies grew louder as they approached. David used his phone's flashlight to illuminate their way. Inside the barn, Lightning was moving nervously in his stall, tossing his head and pawing the ground. The moment Mayor Cooper entered, the horse reared up, eyes wide with fear or anger. "Whoa, boy," Jason said soothingly, approaching the stall. "It's okay." Lightning calmed slightly at Jason's voice but continued to eye the mayor warily. "That's not normal behavior," Mayor Cooper observed. "How long has he been like this?" "Only when certain people are around," Jason said pointedly, looking directly at the mayor. An uncomfortable silence followed. Sheriff Anderson cleared his throat. "Well, he seems healthy enough, just agitated." We'll have animal control follow up tomorrow. As they walked back toward the house, Jason deliberately stayed close to Lightning's stall, making eye contact with the horse and touching his neck briefly. A silent message passed between them. On the front porch, Mayor Cooper turned to face them. Jason, I understand you've been recovering memories about your time away. The whole town is fascinated by your story. Some parts are still fuzzy, Jason replied cautiously. If you need any help with resources, the town would be happy to arrange for specialists, the mayor offered. Memory recovery is a delicate process. We've got it covered, thanks, David said firmly. It's been a long day. If there's nothing else… Of course, Sheriff Anderson said. We'll let you folks get some rest. Power company says electricity should be back within the hour. After they left, David and Jason watched their vehicle drive away. They're up to something, David muttered. Let's check the house. They searched each room carefully. In the living room, Jason knelt down and looked under the coffee table. Found it, he said, pointing to a small black device stuck to the bottom. A listening device. David's face hardened. They were never here about the power or the horse. This was their real purpose. Lisa and Emma emerged from the basement. Are they gone? Lisa whispered. David pointed to the device. They bugged our house. Don't touch it, Jason warned. If we remove it, they'll know we found it. What now? Emma asked. I need to talk to Lightning, Jason said. Alone. The family looked confused, but David nodded. Go, we'll keep watch. In the barn, Jason sat on a hay bale facing Lightning's stall. The horse watched him with intelligent eyes. Walter trained you for this, didn't he? Jason said quietly. He knew something might happen to him, so he prepared you to help me. Lightning nickered softly, pushing his nose against the stall door. You can sense them somehow, Jason continued. The people who've been to the facility or been exposed to their technology. As he sat with Lightning, memories flooded back. Not of his life in Pinewood Springs, but of Walter training the horse. The compound changes people, Walter had explained as he injected something into Lightning's neck. Not just their memories, but their body chemistry. Lightning will be able to detect it. Day after day, Walter had worked with the horse, using samples of clothing with different scents, teaching Lightning to react differently to each one. Special whistles, hand signals and touches, an entire system of communication. If anything happens to me, Walter had told Jason, Lightning can guide you. He knows safe paths through the mountains. He can sense when others have been altered by the facility. Altered how? Jason had asked. Walter's expression was grim. Their memory technology doesn't just erase memories. It can plant new ones, false ones. They can make you remember things that never happened, or forget things that did. Why would anyone do that? Control, Walter said simply. Imagine soldiers who can be programmed to forget classified missions after completing them, or witnesses who can be made to remember events differently. The military and intelligence applications are endless. Walter had shown Jason how to use specific whistles that Lightning was trained to respond to. One pattern meant, find home. Another meant, danger, run. A third meant, find the hidden path. Lightning isn't just a horse, Walter had explained. He's insurance. He's how you'll get home if I can't take you there myself. Jason's eyes snapped open as the memory faded. He now understood why his amnesia had persisted so long. It wasn't from his fall in the ravine. That had injured him, yes, but the complete memory loss came from something else. I was exposed to their technology, he whispered to Lightning. When I was hiking, before I fell. That's why I couldn't remember anything. Lightning pushed against the stall door again, more insistently. Jason stood and opened it, allowing the horse to step out. Lightning immediately walked to the back of the barn and pawed at a loose board in the wall. Curious, Jason moved the board aside. Behind it was a small metal box. Inside were more of Walter's notebooks, ones Jason hadn't seen before. They must have been hidden in Lightning's saddle when the horse found him. Jason flipped through them quickly by the light of his phone. One page showed detailed notes about the compound that caused memory loss. Another contained a map of the facility, not just the main building, but the extensive underground levels beneath it. Most disturbing was a list of names. Teenagers from Pinewood Springs. Tyler Martinez was on the list. So were several other kids Jason had gone to school with. Test subjects. The page was labeled. A terrible realization dawned on him. As he stared at the list, another memory surfaced, one that had been deeply buried. He remembered seeing Tyler and others being led into a hidden entrance in the mountainside. They had looked dazed, walking in single file behind a man in a lab coat. Jason had been hiking, seen the strange procession, and followed. That's when he'd been exposed to something, a gas or mist released when an alarm went off. He'd run away, disoriented, which led to his fall down the ravine. He rushed back to the house, keeping the notebooks hidden under his jacket. Inside, the power had just come back on. His family looked up expectantly. "I remember now," Jason said, his voice shaking. "The facility isn't just researching memory alteration. They're using teenagers from town as test subjects. Tyler Martinez was there, others too." "That's insane," David protested. "People would notice kids going missing." "They don't keep them," Jason explained. "They take them for brief periods, experiment, then return them with no memory of what happened." He carefully placed the newly found notebooks on the table, away from where the listening device had been planted. The family huddled close to look at them. "Walter hid these in the barn," Jason explained. "Lightning showed me." Lisa examined the list of names. "I know most of these families. Many of them reported their kids having episodes of strange behavior or unexplained absences they couldn't remember." "We thought it was just normal teenage stuff," David said quietly. "Parties, drinking," Emma pointed to the facility map. "These tunnels go everywhere, under the mountain, toward town, even toward our school." "That explains how they move people without being seen," Jason said. "What do we do with this information?" Lisa asked. David looked grim. "We get it to people who can help, but first, we need to protect ourselves. They obviously suspect Jason knows something, or they wouldn't have planted that listening device." "We can't stay here," Jason said firmly. "Not now that I remember. Once they realize how much I know, they'll come for all of us." "Where would we go?" Emma asked. Jason looked out the window toward the barn where Lightning stood ready. "Walter had a plan for this too. We just need to figure out what it was." The Johnson family spent the night reviewing Walter's notebooks. Government vehicles passed by their house every hour or so, not even trying to be subtle anymore. "It's like they want us to know we're being watched," David said, peering through the curtains. Jason was deep in thought, flipping through the last notebook they had found in the barn. Suddenly he stopped at a page with a drawing of a mountain lookout. "Lookout Point," he whispered, a memory clicking into place. "Of course." "What is it?" Emma asked, looking over his shoulder. Jason's eyes widened. "I remember Walter's final message now. The night before he died, he was very weak. He called me to his bedside and told me something important." The family gathered around as Jason described the memory. Walter's breathing had been labored, his voice barely audible. "John," he had said, using the name he'd called Jason for 3 years, "listen carefully. I don't have much time." Jason had leaned closer. "You need rest, Walter." "No time for that," Walter had wheezed. "All my research, all the evidence of what they've been doing, it's not in these notebooks. Those are just pieces, breadcrumbs." He had gripped Jason's hand with surprising strength. "The real evidence is on an external hard drive. Everything they wouldn't want the world to know." "Where is it?" Jason had asked. "Lookout Point, the rock shaped like a turtle near the East Trail. I hollowed it out. The drive is inside, sealed in a waterproof case." Walter's eyes had been intense despite his failing health. "Take it to Margaret Collins at the Denver Daily News. Only her. She's been investigating them for years." "That's why Lightning led me home first," Jason explained to his family. "Walter's plan was for me to get home safely, then take his evidence to this reporter." "Where exactly is Lookout Point?" David asked. "It's a popular hiking spot about 5 miles east of town," Jason said. Walter drew it in his notebook. "The Turtle Rock is near the main overlook." "We can drive there tomorrow," Lisa suggested. Jason shook his head. "They're watching us too closely. If we all suddenly drive to Lookout Point, they'll know something's up. Besides, Walter said there are cameras in the public areas of the trail. We need to go at night, quietly." "You can't go alone," Lisa protested. "I'll go with him," Emma volunteered. "I'm small and quiet, and I've hiked to Lookout Point lots of times for school field trips." Lisa looked horrified at the suggestion, but Jason nodded. "We could use Lightning as a lookout," he said. "He can warn us if anyone else is around." After much debate, a plan was formed. David and Lisa would stay home to maintain normal appearances. If anyone came by, they would say Jason and Emma were sleeping. Meanwhile, Jason and Emma would sneak out after midnight with Lightning and hike to Lookout Point. They spent the rest of the day preparing. Jason studied Walter's map and practiced the special whistle signals for Lightning. Emma packed a small backpack with flashlights and water and snacks. By nightfall, they were ready. "Be careful," Lisa whispered, hugging them both tightly before they slipped out the back door at 12:30 in the morning. The night was clear and cool, with a half moon providing just enough light to see. Jason led Lightning from the barn, stroking the horse's neck and whispering to him. "We need you to listen for people," Jason told the horse. "You know what to do." They took a path through the woods behind their property, avoiding the main roads where they might be seen. Lightning moved silently for such a large animal, ears constantly rotating to catch any sounds. After an hour of hiking, they reached the base of the trail leading up to Lookout Point. The popular hiking spot was deserted at this hour, the parking lot empty. "We should leave Lightning here," Jason whispered. "He'll make noise if anyone comes." Emma nodded, and Jason gave Lightning a specific hand signal Walter had taught him. The horse stood alert, facing the direction they had come from. Brother and sister continued up the rocky trail, using their flashlights sparingly. The climb took another 30 minutes, with Emma leading the way to the main overlook. "There," Emma pointed when they reached the top. "Lots of rocks, but I don't see any turtle-shaped one." They searched carefully, moving from rock to rock. Most were ordinary granite boulders, nothing special about them. "This has to be it," Jason said, stopping by a large rock with a rounded top and a distinct pattern that did resemble a turtle's shell. "It matches Walter's drawing." He examined the rock closely, feeling around its edges. At first, he found nothing unusual. Then his fingers detected a slight gap on one side, almost invisible unless you knew to look for it. "I think I found something," he whispered excitedly. As Jason worked to pry open the hidden compartment, Emma suddenly stiffened. "Jason," she hissed, "look." Below them at the base of the trail, flashlight beams bounced through the trees, several lights moving upward toward them. "Someone's coming," Emma said, her voice shaking. Jason worked faster, his fingers prying at the gap in the rock. Finally, a section of the shell moved, revealing a hollow space inside. Within it was a small waterproof case. "Got it," he whispered triumphantly, grabbing the case and securing it in Emma's backpack. "We need to hide," Emma urged. "They're coming up the trail." Jason looked around desperately. There was no easy way down except the main trail, which was now blocked by whoever was coming. Then he noticed a less used path leading around the other side of the overlook. "This way," he said, pulling Emma toward the side trail. "Quietly." They hurried along the narrow path, moving as silently as possible. Behind them, the flashlight beams grew brighter as the unknown searchers reached the overlook. "Check every rock," a man's voice ordered. "It has to be here somewhere." "They know about the hard drive," Emma whispered. The side path was steeper and more dangerous than the main trail. Several times, loose rocks slipped under their feet, forcing them to grab tree branches to keep from falling. "I see signs of recent disturbance," another voice called out from the overlook. "Someone's been here tonight." "Spread out," the first voice commanded. "Search the entire area." Jason and Emma froze as flashlight beams swept the woods around them. They crouched behind a large fallen tree, hardly daring to breathe. A beam of light passed just above their heads. Footsteps crunched on the path not 20 feet away. The searcher was using some kind of device that emitted a faint electronic hum. Emma accidentally shifted her weight, causing a small twig to snap under her foot. The sound seemed impossibly loud in the quiet night. The flashlight beam immediately swung toward them. "Who's there?" a man called out. Before the light could find them, a loud whinny echoed from below, followed by the sound of galloping hooves. Lightning was creating a distraction. "What was that?" the searcher asked, turning his attention towards the noise. "Just a horse," another man responded. "Focus on finding the package." But the distraction had worked. The beam moved away from their hiding spot, giving them a chance to slip further down the side path. They continued their careful descent, using the commotion Lightning was creating as cover. When they reached the bottom of the trail, they found Lightning waiting for them, pawing the ground nervously. "Good boy," Jason whispered, patting the horse's neck. "Let's get out of here." They took a longer route home, avoiding main roads and keeping to the shadows. It was nearly 4 in the morning when they finally slipped back into the Johnson house. David and Lisa were waiting anxiously in the kitchen. "Thank goodness," Lisa breathed, embracing them both. "Did you find it?" Emma pulled the waterproof case from her backpack. "We got it, but people were searching for it too. Lightning helped us escape." The case was made of tough plastic with a simple combination lock. Jason tried Walter's birthday, the one date he definitely remembered, and the lock clicked open. Inside was an external hard drive and a folded note in Walter's handwriting. The truth, for those brave enough to face it. David connected the drive to their family computer. It contained dozens of video files, research documents, and photographs. The first video showed Walter Miller sitting in his cabin, looking directly at the camera. "My name is Dr. Walter Miller," the recording began. "Former lead researcher for Project Recall at the Mountain View Research Center. I'm creating this record because what began as a legitimate scientific endeavor has become something monstrous." The family watched in silence as Walter explained how Project Recall started as memory enhancement research for medical applications, but was corrupted when military funding took over. The facility had developed technology to selectively erase memories and implant new ones. "The technology works," Walter continued on screen. "Too well. We can now remove specific memories without affecting others. We can implant false memories that the subject believes are completely real. The military applications are obvious. Soldiers who can be programmed to forget classified missions, operatives with built-in cover stories they believe are true." Walter's face grew more troubled. But that wasn't enough for Project Director Richard Cooper. He began unauthorized testing on civilians from Pinewood Springs. Teenagers were brought in through a network of underground tunnels, subjected to memory manipulation, and returned with no recollection of what happened. The video showed security footage of teenagers being led into the facility, including Tyler Martinez and several others Jason recognized from school. Another clip showed Mayor Cooper supervising the procedures. "The most disturbing development," Walter continued, "is the use of remote-triggered memory implants, small devices placed at the base of the skull that allow memories to be activated or suppressed from a distance." Lisa gasped, turning to David. "Your head aches." David's hand went to the back of his neck, feeling a small bump under his skin he had always attributed to an old injury. "During the search for Jason Johnson," Walter explained, "his father David came too close to one of our hidden entrances. He was briefly detained, implanted with a monitoring device, and released with no memory of the encounter. The entire town's memories of the search were subtly altered to gradually lose interest in the missing boy." Emma looked at her father in horror. "They've been watching us through Dad all along." "The implant allows them to monitor nearby conversations," Walter confirmed in the video. "It can also trigger headaches or disorientation when certain topics are discussed, as a way to disrupt unwanted conversations." As the video ended, the family sat in stunned silence. The hard drive contained dozens more videos, detailed technical documents, and a complete list of Pinewood Springs residents who had been subjected to memory manipulation. "We need to get this to Margaret Collins right away," Jason said. "This is exactly what Walter wanted the world to know." David touched the back of his neck again. "But how do we do anything with this thing in my head? They're hearing everything we say." Jason grabbed a notepad and wrote, "We can't talk freely. They're listening through Dad's implant." Lisa covered her mouth in horror. Emma looked frightened, but quickly composed herself and took the notepad. "Music," she wrote. Jason nodded and turned on the radio, raising the volume. He then wrote, "Not enough. We need to leave the house." David pointed to the back of his neck, silently asking a question. Jason wrote, "Don't touch it. They might notice." The family gathered their jackets and walked outside to the barn. Inside, with lightning's soft nickering providing background noise, they could whisper carefully. Walter's videos mentioned the implants can monitor conversations within about 20 feet of the person, Jason explained quietly. "Out here, with lightning making noise, we should be safe." "How do we get this evidence to Denver if they're listening to everything?" Lisa asked. "We need help," Jason admitted. "I think we should call Ryan." David looked skeptical. "He works for them." But he gave us that emergency phone, Emma pointed out. And Lightning trusts him. After debate, they decided to call Ryan using the secure phone he had provided. He answered immediately. "What's wrong?" Ryan asked, his voice tense. "We found Walter's evidence," David said. "But we also discovered I have an implant in my neck. They're monitoring everything." A long silence followed. "I was afraid of that," Ryan finally said. "Stay where you are. I'm coming over." While waiting for Ryan, they reviewed more files from the hard drive. The evidence was overwhelming. Years of illegal experiments, dozens of unwitting test subjects, and clear documentation of Mayor Cooper's involvement. Ryan arrived 45 minutes later, parking his truck down the road and approaching on foot. He looked tired and worried. "I need to check something first," Jason said when Ryan entered the barn. He whistled softly to Lightning, then made a specific hand gesture Walter had taught him. The horse studied Ryan intently, then remained calm. "He's clean," Jason told his family. "Lightning doesn't sense any recent exposure to their technology." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "Walter taught him to detect that?" "Yes," Jason confirmed. "Now tell us what you know about my dad's implant." Ryan's expression grew serious. "It's standard procedure for anyone who comes too close to the facility. The implant records conversations and transmits them to the facility. It can also cause discomfort if triggered remotely." "Can you remove it?" Lisa asked. Ryan shook his head. "Not safely. It has a security feature. If tampered with, it can release a compound that causes temporary paralysis." "So what do we do?" David asked. "We create a diversion," Ryan decided. "They're expecting you to try to get that evidence out, so we give them what they expect to see, while actually doing something different." Together, they developed a plan. David, Lisa, and Jason would appear to be taking the hard drive to a medical specialist in Boulder, a city about 30 miles away. This would draw attention and resources away from Emma, who would actually take the drive with Ryan and Lightning through mountain trails to reach Denver. "The important thing is making them believe the hard drive is with Jason," Ryan explained. "They'll focus all their attention on intercepting your car." "What about my implant?" David asked. "They'll hear us planning this." "Not if we plan it right here, with Lightning making noise," Ryan said. "After that, you need to stick to the cover story, even when alone in your house. Act as if you're really planning to take Jason to Boulder." They spent the next hour refining the plan. Emma would sneak out before dawn with a backpack containing the real hard drive. Ryan would meet her at a trailhead with Lightning, who knew mountain paths that avoided roads and monitoring systems. Meanwhile, David, Lisa, and Jason would make an obvious show of preparing to drive to Boulder, even mentioning the hard drive loudly at home where the implant would pick it up. "This is risky," Lisa said, her voice trembling. "Every option is risky now," Ryan replied, "but this gives us the best chance." The next morning, just before sunrise, Emma slipped out her bedroom window and made her way through the woods behind their house. She carried a small backpack with the waterproof case containing Walter's hard drive. At the same time, inside the house, her family made a deliberate show of getting ready. "Make sure you have the hard drive secure in your backpack, Jason," David said loudly. "Dr. Williams in Boulder might be able to use it to help understand what happened to your memory." "Got it right here, Dad," Jason replied, patting a backpack that contained only clothes and a decoy drive. They ate breakfast, continuing their performance for the listening device in David's neck. At 8 o'clock, they got into the family car and headed toward the highway that would take them to Boulder. Emma reached the meeting point where Ryan waited with Lightning. The horse was saddled and ready. "Any problems?" Ryan asked. "No," Emma said, climbing onto Lightning's back with Ryan's help. "But I'm worried about the others." "They'll be fine," Ryan assured her, though he didn't sound completely confident. "The important thing is getting this evidence to Margaret Collins. Walter trusted her for a reason." They set off on a narrow trail that wound up into the mountains, Lightning moving surely despite the rough terrain. Ryan led the way on foot, occasionally checking a small device that looked like a compass. "What's that?" Emma asked. "Signal detector," Ryan explained. "Warns us if we're approaching any of the facility's monitoring stations." Meanwhile, on the main highway, David drove carefully toward Boulder with Lisa beside him and Jason in the back seat. They had traveled about 15 miles when David noticed a black SUV following them at a distance. "We've got company," he said quietly. "Just stay calm and stick to the plan," Lisa reminded him. The SUV followed them for another 5 miles and then suddenly accelerated. 2 more identical vehicles appeared from side roads ahead, blocking their path. "Hold on," David warned, slowing their car as the vehicles surrounded them. Men in dark suits approached from all directions. Sheriff Anderson stepped out of the lead SUV. "Sorry about this, David," the sheriff said when David rolled down his window. "But we need Jason to come with us. Mayor Cooper wants to talk to him." "What is this about?" David demanded, playing his part perfectly. "We're on our way to a medical appointment." "We know about the hard drive," one of the suited men said flatly. "Walter Miller's evidence. Hand it over and you can be on your way." "I don't know what you're talking about," Jason protested from the back seat. The men opened the car doors and forcibly removed all 3 Johnsons. They searched Jason's backpack, finding the decoy drive. "Is this it?" a man asked, holding it up. "Yes," Jason said, trying to sound defeated. The man handed the drive to another agent who connected it to a laptop. After a moment, he shook his head. "It's empty, just some old family photos." The first man grabbed Jason's arm. "Where's the real drive? The one with Walter's research?" Before Jason could answer, Sheriff Anderson interrupted. "Doesn't matter now. Mayor Cooper wants all 3 of them brought in." The Johnson family was separated, placed in different SUVs, and driven away from the highway onto unmarked dirt roads leading deep into the mountains. In the forest, Emma and Ryan had made good progress along the hidden trails. Lightning moved confidently, seeming to know exactly which path to take at each fork. "Walter really trained him well," Ryan commented. "These trails aren't on any map." Suddenly, Lightning stopped, ears pricking forward. He made a soft nickering sound that Emma had never heard before. "What's wrong?" she asked. Ryan checked his signal detector. "We've got movement ahead. Could be hikers or people from the facility," Emma finished. They waited silently. Voices drifted to them from around the next bend in the trail. "They said to check all the old hiking paths," a man's voice said. "Cooper thinks they might try to move the evidence through the mountains." "This is a waste of time," another voice complained. "No one uses these trails anymore." Ryan signaled Emma to stay quiet. He whispered to Lightning, giving a command Emma didn't understand. The horse turned and headed off the trail, finding a narrow animal path that wound through dense underbrush. They backtracked and took a different route, moving more cautiously now. After another hour, Ryan's radio crackled to life. "Cooper to Unit 7. Target vehicle intercepted on Highway 25. Johnson family in custody. Return to base." Ryan quickly switched off the radio, but Emma had heard enough. "They got my family," she cried. "We have to help them." "The best way to help them is to complete the mission," Ryan said firmly. "Get this evidence to Margaret Collins. That's what will save your family." Emma studied Ryan's face with suspicion. "How did they know exactly where to find my parents? The only people who knew the plan were in the barn last night." Ryan looked away. "The facility has resources. They might have been watching your house." "Or you told them," Emma accused. "You're working both sides." Ryan's shoulders slumped. "They contacted me this morning, said they had a tracking device on my truck, threatened to activate David's implant to its highest setting if I didn't tell them where you would be." "So you betrayed us?" Emma's voice shook with anger. "I gave them half the plan," Ryan admitted. "Told them about the Boulder diversion, but not about our trail to Denver. I was hoping they'd focus on intercepting your parents and leave these trails unguarded." "Why should I believe you now?" Emma demanded. "You shouldn't," Ryan said simply. "But Lightning does." He gestured to the horse, who remained calm beside them. "Walter trained him to detect deception, remember? If I meant you harm, he would know." Emma wasn't fully convinced, but they had little choice. They continued through the mountain trails more carefully now, avoiding the few other searchers they encountered. Meanwhile, Jason, David, and Lisa arrived at what appeared to be an ordinary ranger station. Inside, however, was an elevator that took them deep underground. The facility was enormous. Bright white corridors stretched in all directions, with laboratories, offices, and security checkpoints. They were separated again. Jason was led to a large office where Mayor Richard Cooper waited behind a desk. "Jason," the mayor greeted him with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "I'm glad we finally have a chance to talk properly." "Where are my parents?" Jason demanded. They're safe, Cooper assured him. Being checked by our medical staff. Your father's implant was causing him some discomfort, I understand. Jason glared at the mayor. Why did you bring us here? Cooper leaned forward. Because you have something that belongs to us. Walter Miller stole sensitive government research when he left. We need it back. You mean evidence of your illegal human experimentation? Jason countered. Cooper sighed. Walter always did have a flair for the dramatic. What we're doing here is important work, Jason. Work that will help our country maintain its edge in an increasingly dangerous world. By experimenting on teenagers without consent? By erasing people's memories? You weren't supposed to be taken, Cooper said, changing tactics. 3 years ago, you accidentally wandered too close to our testing site. You were exposed to an experimental compound that affected your memory. We were searching for you when Walter found you first. And decided to hide me, Jason finished, because he knew what you would do. Cooper smiled thinly. Walter was paranoid. We could have helped you recover properly. He pressed a button on his desk, and a screen on the wall lit up showing brain scans. Your memory loss wasn't complete. It was targeted. With our help, we could restore everything you've forgotten. Jason watched the mayor carefully. You want to trade my memories for Walter's hard drive? A fair exchange, don't you think? You get your life back and we recover classified material. Cooper spread his hands. Just tell me where the drive is, and we can begin the restoration process immediately. Jason thought of Emma, hopefully still making her way to Denver with Ryan. He needed to buy time. How do I know you can really restore my memories? He asked. How do I know you won't just erase what I've already remembered? Cooper smiled. A reasonable concern. Let me show you exactly what we can do. Cooper led Jason through gleaming white hallways, deeper into the Mountain View facility. Staff in lab coats nodded respectfully as the mayor passed. Each door required Cooper to scan his ID badge and sometimes his fingerprint. Our security is thorough, Cooper explained. What we do here is too important to risk exposure. They entered a large circular room with a glass observation wall. Beyond the glass were 6 teenagers seated in special chairs, wearing strange headsets with wires connecting to machines. Jason gasped when he recognized one of the teens. Tyler, he exclaimed, rushing to the glass. Tyler Martinez. Tyler couldn't hear him through the glass. He sat motionless, his eyes unfocused as technicians adjusted dials on the equipment. Your friend is perfectly fine, Cooper assured him. We're simply adjusting some problematic memories. You mean you're erasing parts of his mind? Jason said angrily. Cooper shook his head. Not erasing, replacing. Tyler witnessed a car accident last week that left him quite troubled. We're helping him remember it as something less traumatic. Jason watched in horror as other teens he recognized from Pinewood Springs sat in similar chairs. A girl from his old math class, the captain of the swim team, the quiet boy who worked at the town library. How many? Jason whispered. We maintain a testing pool of about 20 subjects from Pinewood Springs, Cooper said matter-of-factly. All teenagers with healthy neural pathways. We bring them in, conduct our procedures, and return them home with no memory of being here. That's kidnapping, Jason protested. It's national security research, Cooper corrected. The memory modifications we perfect here will protect our soldiers, our intelligence officers. Imagine agents who can infiltrate enemy operations without fear of revealing secrets under torture, because they truly don't remember their agents until a specific trigger is activated. Cooper guided Jason to another room, this one filled with sophisticated equipment. Screens displayed brain scans, neural pathways lighting up in different patterns. This is where we map memories, Cooper explained. We can identify exactly which neurons hold specific memories, then target just those cells for modification. Jason had thought of Walter's videos, and implant false memories. False is such a negative word, Cooper said. I prefer constructed. The brain doesn't know the difference between a real memory and one we carefully craft. How did you get away with this for so long? Jason asked. Cooper smiled. Pinewood Springs has been our living laboratory for 20 years. We started small, minor adjustments to town council members to approve our land usage, local police to ignore certain activities. Eventually we expanded. Jason felt sick. The entire town? Not everyone needs adjustment. Just those in positions to help or hinder us. Cooper touched a screen, bringing up an image of Jason's brain. Your case is special. The compound you were exposed to affected your hippocampus, the brain's memory center. But we can reverse it. If I give you Walter's evidence, Jason finished. Cooper nodded. Exactly. A fair trade. Meanwhile, Emma and Ryan had reached the outskirts of Denver after hours of travel through mountain trails. Lightning was tired but still alert, his ears constantly moving as they navigated city streets. The Denver Daily News office is downtown, Ryan said, checking a map on his phone. But we can't just walk in with a horse. Emma patted Lightning's neck. We need to find Margaret Collins first. She might not even be at the office. Ryan nodded. I can call the newspaper, ask for her. From a payphone to avoid being traced, Ryan called the Denver Daily News. After a brief conversation, he hung up. Margaret Collins is working from home today, he told Emma. They wouldn't give me her address, but I have another way to find her. Using his phone, Ryan searched public records. Here we go, I have her address. They left Lightning in a small park, with Emma tearfully instructing the horse to wait for them. Then they took a bus to Margaret Collins' neighborhood, a quiet area with small houses set back from the street. That's her house, Ryan said, pointing to a blue one-story home with a well-kept garden. Emma clutched the backpack containing Walter's hard drive tightly. What if she doesn't believe us? Walter trusted her, Ryan reminded her. There must be a reason. They walked up to the front door and rang the bell. After a moment, a woman in her 40s with short gray-streaked hair answered. Can I help you? She asked, looking at them suspiciously. Miss Collins, Ryan began. My name is Ryan Cooper. This is Emma Johnson. We have something from Dr. Walter Miller that you need to see. Margaret's expression changed instantly. Walter Miller, come inside quickly. Once inside, Emma removed the hard drive from her backpack. Walter told my brother to bring this to you. He said you've been investigating the Mountain View facility for years. Margaret stared at the hard drive. Walter is alive. No, Ryan said quietly. He died recently. But before that, he rescued and protected Emma's brother Jason after he was exposed to compounds at the facility. Emma explained everything. Jason's disappearance 3 years ago, his return, and what they had discovered about the Mountain View facility and its experiments on the people of Pinewood Springs. Margaret listened intently, occasionally making notes. I've been investigating Mountain View for over 5 years, she confirmed. My brother disappeared near Pinewood Springs while hiking. The authorities said he fell from a cliff, but his body was never found. She connected the hard drive to her computer. As they watched Walter's videos and examined his documentation, her expression hardened. This is exactly what I needed, she said. I've gathered bits and pieces over the years, but nothing concrete enough for publication. This changes everything. My parents and brother are being held at the facility right now, Emma said urgently. They created a diversion so I could bring this to you. Margaret stood up. We need to move fast then. I have contacts at the FBI, people who aren't connected to this project and who have been suspicious of Mountain View for years. She picked up her phone and made a call. Agent Dawson, it's Margaret Collins. I have concrete evidence about Mountain View. Yes, everything we suspected and worse. She paused, listening. Yes, there are hostages involved. 3 of them that I know about. After hanging up, she turned to Emma and Ryan. Help is coming, but it will take time to mobilize properly. Until then, we need to make sure this evidence can't be buried again. Back at the facility, Jason was stalling, asking detailed questions about the memory procedures. Cooper was growing impatient. Enough questions, he said finally. Where is the hard drive, Jason? Tell me now, or things will become unpleasant for your parents. Jason thought quickly. It's hidden. I need to see that my parents are okay first. Cooper considered this, then nodded. Fair enough. He led Jason to another section of the facility where Lisa and David were being held in a small white room. Lisa rushed forward to hug Jason when they entered. Are you okay? She asked frantically. I'm fine, Jason assured her. How's Dad? David sat on a bench, looking pale. The implant, he said through gritted teeth. It's been causing pain since they brought us here. Cooper touched a remote control in his pocket. Just a mild discomfort to ensure cooperation. It can become much worse. Lisa glared at the mayor. You've been controlling people in our town for years, making them forget things, implanting false memories. For the greater good, Cooper said dismissively. Now, Jason, you've seen your parents. Where is the hard drive? Jason hesitated. An alarm suddenly blared throughout the facility. Red lights flashed in the corridors. Sir! A security officer burst into the room. We have a situation. Margaret Collins is on national television right now showing portions of Miller's videos. Cooper's face drained of color. What? How is that possible? The security officer held up a tablet showing a news broadcast. Margaret Collins sat in the studio, speaking calmly as clips from Walter's videos played beside her. These illegal experiments have been conducted on unwitting citizens for over 20 years, Margaret was saying. I have obtained documented evidence from Dr. Walter Miller, the former lead scientist who left the program when it crossed ethical lines. Cooper turned to Jason in fury. You never had the drive. This was all a distraction. My sister has it, Jason confirmed, unable to hide his smile. She's smarter than all of us. Cooper pressed a button on his remote, causing David to cry out and fall to his knees in agony. Stop it! Lisa shouted. She grabbed a metal water pitcher from a nearby table and swung it hard at Cooper. The mayor stumbled, dropping the remote. Jason quickly kicked it away. Dad! Jason knelt beside his father. How do we stop the implant? Lisa examined the back of David's neck, where the skin was red and inflamed around the small bump. We need to disrupt its signal somehow. She looked around the room desperately, then spotted an electrical panel on the wall. The implant must use radio frequencies to communicate with their systems, she said. If we could create enough electrical interference. Outside, chaos erupted in the hallways as staff ran in all directions. The facility's speaker system crackled. Attention all personnel. Protocol Omega is now in effect. Transfer all research data to secure servers. Prepare for immediate evacuation of all subjects and essential equipment. Cooper regained his balance and lunged for an emergency button near the door, but Jason tackled him. They struggled briefly before Jason pinned the older man down. Lisa, Jason called, try the panel. Lisa pried open the electrical panel and pulled at the wires inside, creating sparks. David's pain seemed to lessen immediately. It's working, he gasped. The pain is stopping. Cooper glared at Jason. You have no idea what you've done. This research is vital for national security. Without it, people will keep their own memories, Jason finished. They'll make their own choices. More alarm sounded. The security officer who had brought the news returned. Sir, FBI agents are at the main entrance. They have warrants. Cooper shoved Jason off and scrambled to his feet. Initiate data transfer to Site B immediately. Destroy all local servers once transfer is complete. They're going to erase everything, Lisa realized. All the evidence of what they did to people. Jason knew they couldn't let that happen. Where's the control center? He demanded of Cooper. The mayor smiled coldly. You'll never reach it in time. David struggled to his feet, the pain from his implant now manageable thanks to Lisa's electrical interference. We have to try, for all the families they've hurt. Jason helped his father up and the three Johnsons moved toward the door. Cooper tried to block them, but David pushed past him with surprising strength. In the hallway, they encountered more confused staff and security personnel. No one tried to stop them. Everyone was too busy with the evacuation. Following signs toward the facility's core, they ran through white corridors, turning corners and ducking into doorways when needed. They passed rooms filled with teenagers, the same ones Jason had seen earlier, now being hurriedly prepared for transport. We need to free them, Jason said, but his father shook his head. First the control center, David insisted. Stop the data transfer, then we save the others. They rounded another corner and found themselves facing a massive, reinforced door marked Central Command Authorized Personnel Only. That's it, Lisa said. But how do we get in? The door required a security badge, fingerprint, and passcode. As they stood there uncertain, they heard footsteps approaching from behind. Jason, Lisa, and David turned to face the approaching footsteps, ready to defend themselves. Instead, they saw Ryan Cooper rushing toward them, security badge in hand. Ryan! Jason exclaimed. How did you get here? Where's Emma? Emma is safe in Denver with Margaret Collins, Ryan explained quickly. The FBI is here, but Cooper's people are deleting everything. We need to stop them. He swiped his badge at the security panel, pressed his thumb to the scanner, and entered a code. The massive door unlocked with a heavy click. How did you know the code? Lisa asked suspiciously. I've worked here for years, Ryan reminded her. Come on, we don't have much time. The central command room was filled with giant screens, computer workstations, and a dozen technicians frantically typing. In the center, Mayor Cooper stood issuing orders. Transfer speed at 70%. Prepare to wipe local servers as soon as it's complete. Stop! Ryan shouted, drawing a gun from his jacket. FBI, everyone away from your workstations. The technicians froze, looking to Mayor Cooper for direction. The mayor's face darkened with rage. You betrayed us, he hissed at his half-brother. Your own family. You betrayed everything science stands for, Ryan replied, using people as lab rats, manipulating an entire town. David stepped forward, his voice strong despite the pain still radiating from his implant. Shut down the transfer now. It's too late, Cooper said with a cold smile. Within minutes, all data will be safely transferred to our secondary facility. Then there will be nothing to find here. Jason noticed a large red button behind glass labeled Emergency System Purge. He elbowed Ryan and nodded toward it. That would stop everything? He whispered. Ryan nodded slightly. But it needs Cooper's handprint. As they spoke, the facility shook with a distant explosion. More alarms blared. FBI breaching the lower levels, someone called out. Cooper seized the distraction to lunge for a control panel. Jason tackled him, both of them crashing into a computer station. They struggled on the floor as Lisa and David tried to help. 75% transferred, a technician announced. Ryan kept his gun trained on the other staff. Nobody move! Jason managed to pin Cooper's arm behind his back. Dad, the emergency purge. We need his hand. David grabbed Cooper's free hand and dragged him toward the red button, struggling against the mayor's resistance. You don't understand what you're doing, Cooper protested. This research is vital for national security. Experimenting on teenagers without consent isn't research, Lisa said angrily. It's criminal. 80% transferred. David forced Cooper's hand against the scanner beside the emergency button. Nothing happened. It needs his conscious cooperation, Ryan explained. The scanner detects stress patterns. Cooper laughed. I'll never help you. Lisa suddenly had an idea. The implants. You said they can trigger memories, right? Make people believe things? Ryan nodded. Yes, but then he must have one too, Lisa reasoned. Insurance for the program. No leader would develop this technology without protecting himself. Cooper's expression confirmed her suspicion. Where is it? Jason demanded, tightening his grip on the mayor's arm. 85%. Ryan holstered his gun and approached Cooper. He examined the base of the mayor's skull, finding a small raised area identical to the one in David's neck. Here, Ryan confirmed, but we can't access it without the controller. David remembered the remote Cooper had used earlier. It's back in the room where they held us. We don't need it, Lisa said with sudden determination. She ran to an electrical panel similar to the one she'd used to disrupt David's implant. If electrical interference affects these devices, she pulled wires from the panel, creating sparks. The lights in Central Command flickered. Cooper suddenly screamed, his body going rigid. What's happening to me? His eyes became unfocused, then cleared again. He looked confused. Walter, he whispered, staring at nothing. Is that you? Lisa had triggered something in his implant. Perhaps a memory, perhaps a fear. Now, Ryan urged, get his hand on the scanner. David guided Cooper's now unresisting hand to the scanner. This time it glowed green. Ryan smashed the glass covering the emergency button and pressed it firmly. All screens in the room suddenly went black. The technicians cried out in dismay. Transfer interrupted, someone confirmed. Data corruption at 90%, Cooper snapped back to awareness, howling in fury. Do you have any idea what you've done? Years of research. The doors burst open as FBI agents in tactical gear swarmed into the room. FBI, everyone on the ground now. Within minutes, the agents had secured the room and handcuffed Cooper and his staff. A tall woman in an FBI jacket approached the Johnson family. Agent Melissa Dawson, she introduced herself. Margaret Collins contacted us with evidence from Walter Miller. We've been suspicious of this place for years but never had enough proof to get warrants. There are teenagers being held somewhere in the facility, Jason told her urgently. They were preparing to move them. Agent Dawson nodded. We've already found them. Medical teams are evaluating them now. She turned to Ryan. And you must be our inside source. Margaret mentioned you helped get the evidence out. Ryan nodded. I want to help undo what's been done here. More FBI agents arrived, taking statements and collecting evidence. The Johnson family was escorted to an upper level where medical staff examined them. A doctor carefully scanned David's implant. "We can't remove it yet," the doctor explained, "but we can deactivate it safely. We'll need specialized equipment." Hours passed as the FBI systematically cleared the facility. Jason, Lisa, and David waited anxiously for news about Emma. Finally, Agent Dawson approached with a satellite phone. "Someone wants to talk to you." "Hello?" Lisa said, taking the phone. "Mom," Emma's voice came through clearly. "Are you all okay?" "We're fine, sweetheart," Lisa assured her, tears of relief streaming down her face. "Everyone is safe. The FBI has the facility." "Margaret's story is everywhere," Emma reported excitedly. "All the major networks are covering it. They're calling it the biggest government scandal in decades." "When can you come home?" David asked, taking the phone. "The FBI is arranging for us to fly back tomorrow," Emma said. "Lightning is here too. Ryan had a trailer waiting in Denver. He's getting special treatment, the horse who helped expose the truth." 1 month later, the Johnson family sat together in their living room, watching Jason on television. He was testifying before a congressional committee investigating Project Recall. The technology was designed to selectively erase and implant memories, Jason explained to the committee members. "Teenagers from our town were used as test subjects without their knowledge or consent. When they were returned home, they had no memory of what had happened to them." The camera panned to show former Mayor Cooper sitting with his lawyers. His face was grim. "And you believe you were targeted because you accidentally observed these teenagers being brought to the facility?" a congresswoman asked. "Yes," Jason confirmed. "I was hiking in the mountains when I saw them being led into a hidden entrance. When I was spotted, they used their technology to erase my memories. If Walter Miller hadn't found me, I might never have remembered who I was." The hearings continued for weeks. Dozens of families from Pinewood Springs discovered their children had been used in experiments. Medical teams worked to help those affected, though many memories could never be fully restored. Mayor Cooper and several scientists were indicted on multiple charges. The Mountain View facility was permanently closed, with government inspectors ensuring all equipment was removed or destroyed. Ryan Cooper provided crucial testimony against his half-brother, explaining how the project had evolved from legitimate memory research into something dangerous and unethical. He would face lesser charges for his involvement but was granted leniency for helping expose the truth. The implant in David's neck was successfully deactivated and eventually removed by specialists. The headaches that had plagued him for years finally disappeared. Emma returned to school a local hero. Her teacher, Mr. Peterson, was among those arrested for helping identify potential test subjects among his students. Emma's folder of evidence was returned to her by the FBI, now with an official thank you note attached. Lightning became something of a celebrity. News programs featured the story of the horse who remembered when all humans had forgotten. Walter's training had given Lightning the ability to detect the subtle chemical changes in people who had been exposed to the facility's technology, a side effect no one had anticipated. On a clear autumn day, 6 months after the facility's closure, Jason saddled Lightning for a special trip. He rode alone into the mountains, following trails he now remembered clearly, until he reached a high viewpoint that overlooked the valley. It had been Walter's favorite spot. Jason dismounted and removed a small stone from his pocket, placing it carefully among others in a small pile he had started on previous visits. A simple memorial to the man who had saved him and eventually helped save an entire town. "I remember everything now, Walter," Jason said quietly. "Everything you taught me, everything you sacrificed." Lightning stood beside him, ears forward, watching the valley below where Pinewood Springs was visible in the distance. The town was healing, families reuniting with children they had been made to forget, truth replacing manufactured memories. "They're calling your research the most important whistleblowing evidence of the century," Jason continued. "Not just for what it revealed about Project Recall, but for what it's teaching us about the human mind and memory." The government had established a special medical program for affected families, with Lisa Johnson serving as a family advocate. Her background in science made her perfectly suited to help others understand what had happened to their children. The breeze ruffled Lightning's mane as Jason mounted again. "Time to go home, boy," he said, patting the horse's neck. As they descended the trail, Jason thought about the strange journey that had brought him here. 3 years lost, but not wasted. Walter had prepared him, and Lightning for exactly this moment. A moment when truth would overcome deception, when real memories would prove stronger than manufactured ones. Lightning knew the way home. He always had.